The streets are buzzing, and the talk is louder than ever. Was YBCDUL set up? New footage of his murder just dropped, and it's got everyone questioning what really went down. In this video, we're diving deep into the footage, unraveling the rumors, and breaking down the deadly beefs that led to YBCDUL's untimely end. Stick around because what we're about to uncover a whole lot. YBCDUL's murder footage. On August 26th, a wild video showing the broad daylight murder of YBCDUL, aka Abdul Vix, blew up online. This wasn't just another crime caught on tape, it was a brutal execution that has the streets buzzing and social media in a frenzy. The footage, now a crucial piece of evidence, begins with YBCDUL's white Hyundai SUV stopped behind a bus in traffic, an ordinary moment in the middle of a busy day. But then, another SUV pulls up alongside his vehicle, setting the stage for a sudden and violent turn of events. In the blink of an eye, everything goes from normal to nightmarish. In an instant, the ordinary turns deadly. The sound of gunfire erupts, shattering the daytime silence as someone inside the second SUV opens fire with what looks like a high-powered rifle. As the shots continue, the assailant's vehicle speeds away, leaving behind confusion, chaos, and a chilling aftermath. But the video captures one more haunting detail. The front passenger door of a YBCDUL SUV briefly swings open, then slams shut before the SUV takes off, zigzagging through traffic as if trying to outrun the danger that had already struck. The entire video sparked intense reactions online, especially because of the brutal way YBCDUL was taken out. While the murder footage went viral on August 26th, the actual killing of YBCDUL happened a few days earlier on August 23rd. That day was supposed to be just another grind in North Philly. YBCDUL had plans to meet up with friends, hit the studio, and lay down some new tracks for his upcoming project. But by 3:30 p.m., the routine had turned into a nightmare on the 5500 block of North 6th Street. Officers from the Philadelphia Police Department rushed to the scene. When they arrived, they found YBCDUL's white Hyundai SUV riddled with bullets. Chopper footage captured the chaotic aftermath as cops and EMTs swarmed the scene, trying to piece together what went down. Not long after, a nearby hospital called in, reporting that a rapper had been brought in, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, including hits to his chest and right hand. Despite the medic's best efforts, YBCDUL didn't make it, succumbing to his injuries. The SUV, now full of bullet holes, became the focal point of the investigation. While the police didn't waste a second launching an investigation, the details of what really went down that afternoon are still a mystery. But ever since the video hit the internet, fans have been quick to throw out their own theories, with many calling the whole thing shady. A lot of folks are straight up convinced that YBCDUL's death was a setup from the jump. One fan wrote, "These guys don't stop at red lights or behind buses like that. This was 100% a setup, and the driver was in on it for sure." What's really got people talking is how the SUV's driver came out untouched. No scratches, no bruises, nothing. It's almost like they weren't even in the line of fire. And it's not just the fans who are suspicious. YBCDUL's father is saying it straight up. This was a setup. After YBCDUL's death, his father took to social media to clear the air. He hopped on one of his son's accounts to set the record straight and address the rumors. First off, he shut down the viral video of a young man being gunned down on a bike, making it clear that wasn't dull. "My son Abdul Vix was murdered yesterday afternoon in broad daylight while sitting in the back of his car alongside his friend, who was also shot in the hand. My son was not on a bike when he was killed." Nothing like that. So that video going around is not him. Stop spreading false news, the post read. But Dul's dad didn't stop there. He went on to say he's convinced the whole thing was a setup. He even shared that his son had told him the night before that something felt off. Dul had noticed strange cars following him all week, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was coming. His dad ended his post with a vow to get to the bottom of it. "My son didn't live like a saint, but I'm no fool either. My son was targeted in some setup plot. That's the only way they could get him up close like that," he said. "For someone to walk right up to his car, that was the first red flag. And I promise, we ain't stopping until those dudes are exposed. Whatever you were running from, son, they were watching you closely, and I'm gonna expose it." With all the suspicion swirling around his death, it's no shock that YBCDUL's life was just as wild and controversial as his tragic end. Dul had a way of making headlines, and not always for the right reasons. In fact, he was known as the most hated rapper in Philly, earning the nickname Mr. Disrespectful from his own fans.
My name YBCDUL, but the fans call me Mr. Disrespectful. What they be saying, like, I be trolling, I guess, but I do it to a certain extent. Like, I go overboard. I disrespect people, like, badly.
YBCDUL was brought up in the tough streets of Philadelphia, a place where the struggle is real and survival is a daily battle. The city is known for its deep-rooted issues with poverty, crime, and gang violence. Growing up in Philly, YBCDUL had it rough from the start. Poverty, crime, and violence weren't just things he heard about. They were part of his everyday life. His teenage years were a constant battle with the law, and things got so heated that he ended up in a residential facility during high school. As Dul got older, he started to fully embrace the persona that would come to define him, diving headfirst into the drill rap scene. Now, drill rap isn't just another subgenre of hip-hop. It's a movement that kicked off on Chicago's South Side. Imagine this: dark, aggressive beats pulsing through the streets, paired with raw, unfiltered lyrics that don't shy away from the harsh realities of life: violence, poverty, gang wars. This wasn't just music for the sake of entertainment. These rappers did what they rapped about, and they rapped about the wildest things. The genre blew up on social media, especially on YouTube, where young artists were dropping tracks that quickly racked up millions of views. YBCDUL became one of those voices, spitting bars that blurred the lines between his music and the harsh realities he lived. Dul's raw and unfiltered style earned him a solid following, with his YouTube channel buzzing and nearly 30,000 monthly listeners tuning in on Spotify. But what really catapulted him into the spotlight was one of the most disrespectful stunts that solidified his reputation. He went to the extreme, digging up the grave of one of his ops. That move alone took his notoriety to a whole new level, firmly establishing him in the drill scene. And just when you thought he couldn't get any crazier, his response after the incident was equally wild.
So what were you doing that day? It was like one of the most disrespectful things I ever seen.
Oh, bro, trying to find that nigga grave. He ain't got one though.
Just a guy that we don't know, like not anybody that in particular, no?
Yeah, I don't know him. And I'm not giving people clout no more. I'm done with doing that.
Riding high on his fearless reputation, YBCDUL didn't shy away from the spotlight. He even did an interview with YouTube personality Brandon Buckingham in a video titled "The Most Hated Rapper in Philadelphia," which dropped just a day before his death. In the interview, Dull and his crew took Brandon through the trenches of Mantua, Germantown, and other tough Philadelphia neighborhoods. Throughout the video, Dull was seen bragging about his violent reputation, fully embracing the notorious image he had crafted for himself.
You should be nervous though, bro, cause walking with me a bad joint, but so-called niggas be on my ass still, so that'd be a bad joint.
During the interview, Dull couldn't help but take pride in how quiet the streets had become, seeing it as a clear sign of his gang's growing dominance.
Look, this shit a desert town, ghost town, bro. Nobody outside. We f the hood up. Like when you in down Kennington, how the whole, like everywhere outside, bro. It's not like you gonna get shot down here, bro. Like with that shit I be talking about in my reps, bro. That shit real. Go listen to it. Everybody getting shot. Mom, dad, sisters, brothers. Ops. We proving a point.
He didn't stop there. Dull went all out, straight up taunting his ops, bragging about how he and his crew had bodies on their hands and terrorized the neighborhood without a second thought.
We really killed a lot of niggas though. Like niggas is not here no more, bro. The hood dry, bro.
So you say you tortured the whole block?
We tortured the whole hood though. Like nobody don't come outside around her.
A lot of people seem to think that Dull's bragging in the video was the final straw, sparking his ops to go after him the very next day after the interview dropped. One fan even commented under the video, "This video gave the ops the motivation they needed." Another wrote, "Who is 0% surprised by this dude being killed?" While this theory is gaining traction, many believe there's more to the story. Some people think his death was primarily linked to the gang he was part of, a gang that many suspected he was running. Gang affiliations. YBCDUL is believed by the police to be heavily involved with the YBC gang, also known as the Young Bag Chasers. In fact, authorities suspect that Dull wasn't just a member, but was actually running the gang. The origins of the YBC gang can be traced back to the gritty streets of West Philadelphia in 2017. This gang was born out of necessity, a response to the harsh realities of their environment where survival often meant aligning with powerful groups for protection and influence. The members of YBC were young, ambitious, and determined to make a name for themselves in a world where respect and fear were the currencies of power. From the jump, YBC's identity was locked into the drill rap scene. The group was allegedly founded by J100, who saw the vision of bringing together a crew that could make noise both in the music game and out on the streets. They weren't just rappers, they were a unit with a mission, dropping tracks that echoed the harsh realities of street life while grinding to get their paper up. But everything took a dark turn on May 29th, 2019. That day would become a defining moment for YBC. Joshua David Munson, a close associate of the gang, was brutally shot in an attack that left the entire crew shaken. It was a clear afternoon on the 4200 block of Wyalusing Avenue in Philadelphia's Parkside section when a call to the police reported a man with a gun. When officers arrived, they found Joshua suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was rushed to Presbyterian Hospital, where he was listed in critical condition. Sadly, despite all efforts, Joshua, who was just 18 years old, succumbed to his injuries 2 days later on May 31st. Witnesses reported seeing a man, likely in his mid-20s, wearing blue shorts, and a white tank top. The suspect had parked a gold Dodge Ram pickup at the corner of 42nd Street and Mantua Avenue, just a block away from where Joshua was shot. After parking, the man jogged to Wyalusing Avenue, carried out the shooting, and then quickly fled the scene in his truck, driving west on Mantua Avenue. For YBCDUL and his crew, Joshua's death marked their first significant loss.
That's our first loss. That's our first YBC loss. Oh, he pissing right here, but look, right here, it's his crib. It's Josh's crib right there.
But YBC wasn't about to retreat. They cranked up the intensity. After Joshua's murder, the gang went full throttle, diving deeper into serious crimes like drug trafficking and armed robberies. Then came a pivotal moment in 2020. On a March evening, Nafi Hawkins, better known as Buddy, was shot multiple times while playing pickup basketball. Just 19 years old, Buddy was pronounced dead in a mere 12 minutes. When the police showed up, witnesses were tight-lipped, refusing to describe the shooter. However, many speculate that Buddy's death was a retaliatory strike by YBCDUL and his crew for Joshua's murder. The speculation gained traction when YBCDUL seemingly bragged about Buddy's death in his debut single, Criminal, hinting at the violent payback.
Even in the first song that Dul released, you can hear him saying he is, quote, smoking Buddy out the motherfucking pound.
As the YBC gang, or Young Bad Chasers, solidified their presence in West Philadelphia, the violence associated with their name escalated to unprecedented levels. One of the most shocking incidents occurred in January 2021 with the murder of 15-year-old Jaquan Williams, known as Q Raw. Jaquan was shot in the head while walking near 40th and Cambridge Streets. His death was a significant blow to the community, as he was just a teenager with his whole life ahead of him. YBC members, never ones to back down from their notorious antics, went a step further by disrespecting Q Raw. They mocked him by misnaming him and using the phrase "smoke on Q Rizzy" to belittle the tragedy. It was a cold and calculated move to intensify the tension and show their dominance. The cycle of violence didn't stop there. In March 2021, YBC members were caught up in a tragic case of mistaken identity. Rodney Hard Jr. was shot and killed by YBC crew who thought they were targeting Sid, an enemy who was actually under house arrest at the time. This fatal mistake only fueled YBC's thirst for payback. By May 2021, they finally tracked down Sid outside his home, but their reckless gunfire hit his 6-year-old sister instead.
It's disgusting yet again that I'm here speaking to you about a 6-year-old getting shot.
Sid survived the attack, and his family decided to move across town to Port Richmond to escape the violence. But even there, the danger followed. Around 8:15 p.m. on the 2900 block of Wheel Street in Port Richmond, 2 shooters rolled up on Sid's house, unleashing 8 shots into his home. Both Sid and his father were hit. While his dad pulled through, Sid wasn't so lucky. He didn't survive the attack. YBC member Arshad Curry was found hiding under a car at the scene, trying to evade capture. But when the police closed in, he didn't go down quietly. He opened fire. Despite his desperate attempt, Curry was ultimately taken down, arrested, and charged with Sid's murder. YBC's reputation for ruthless violence only grew from there, fueled by their ongoing beef with rival gangs. One of the most infamous wars they got caught up in was with a gang known as CCK. The war between YBC and CCK erupted in a blaze of violence on July 21st, 2021. It all kicked off with the tragic deaths of Snipe and K3, 2 individuals whose lives were brutally cut short in a shocking display of gang warfare. On that fateful day, Snipe and K3 were just cruising with 2 friends, unaware of the danger creeping up behind them. As they rolled through the streets, YBC members pulled up on them. Without warning, the assailants jumped out of their car and unleashed a hail of bullets, spraying the vehicle with deadly precision. Snipe and K3 were hit multiple times, and despite being rushed to the hospital, they didn't make it through the day. The real targets of the attack, however, were the 2 other people in the car. In the chaos, they managed to bail out of the vehicle. One got hit and was hospitalized but survived. The other managed to escape unharmed. Arshad Curry, already notorious for his role in Sid's murder, was also charged in connection with this shooting. The murder of Snipe and K3 set off a violent chain reaction that engulfed the communities involved in the YBC and CCK gang war. The next significant act of violence occurred on May 13th, 2022, when Baby K, also known as BK, became the latest victim in this deadly feud. BK was sitting in his car, probably unaware of the danger closing in on him. 2 CCK members approached his vehicle and without hesitation emptied their clips into the car. BK was hit over 25 times in a brutal and merciless attack that left him dead before the police even arrived. After BK's murder, CCK members took to social media and the streets to heavily diss their fallen rival. They posted taunts like, "We got switches, come outside," and "I'm smoking BK," mocking the manner of his death and flaunting their perceived victory. But CCK wasn't done. They went after J100, the very creator of YBC. As J100 was leaving fellow YBC rapper Lil Moo's house to catch an Uber, a CCK member jumped out of of another vehicle and shot him multiple times in the head and buttocks. The attack was swift and brutal, leaving J100 critically injured. Despite being rushed to the hospital, he didn't make it. YBC wasn't about to let that slide. Not long after Booga, the blood brother of CCK rapper Sandy Goon, was gunned down by a YBC member after leaving his shift at McDonald's. Booga wasn't even actively involved in the streets, but his association with Sandy Goon made him a target. Many believe all these retaliatory hits are what ultimately led to YBCDUL's death. But YBCDUL isn't the only rapper who has recently lost his life to gang wars. Other rappers killed over gang wars. Gang affiliations and street politics have dug deep into the rap game, turning what used to be just lyrical beef into deadly real-life battles. Artists like YBCDUL found themselves in the thick of it, and he wasn't alone. Another artist who got caught up in this deadly game was Foolio.
Rapper Charles Jones, known as Foolio, shot and killed in Tampa.
In June 2024, Foolio was gearing up to celebrate his 28th birthday in style. He chose Tampa, Florida, just a few hours away from his hometown of Jacksonville, as the spot for his big bash. In typical Foolio style, he boldly took to social media to post about his upcoming birthday party, inviting fans to DM him for the address. But what seemed like a move to hype up the event would soon turn out to be a fatal mistake.
The pool party start today at 5, 6 o'clock. If you already got the address, pull up, man. You got the address, pull up. If you need the address, DM me right now. The pool party start at 5, 6 o'clock.
The party kicked off at an Airbnb with a pool, and it quickly became the talk of the town. Foolio's social media was flooded with posts and stories showcasing the wild celebration. However, the party's popularity drew too much attention, and the police soon arrived to shut it down due to the overwhelming number of attendees. The cops ordered everyone to leave, but Foolio and his crew were determined to keep the festivities going. Unbeknownst to Foolio, his every move was being tracked by his ops. Isaiah Chance and his girlfriend Alicia Andrews were on his trail. They followed Foolio from the Airbnb to 2 different locations, calling up the shooters each time and coordinating their movements. Foolio and his crew eventually decided to head to a hotel to continue the celebration, unaware that they were being watched. As Foolio and his homies pulled into the hotel parking lot, the ops parked across the street, keeping a low profile to avoid detection. Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews drove through the parking lot to confirm Foolio's presence before pulling off. Moments later, 3 masked shooters jumped out of another car and ran towards Foolio's vehicle. Shots rang out before Foolio and his crew could react. Bullets tore through the car, hitting everyone inside. Foolio, sadly, was the only one who didn't make it out alive. 4 suspects were quickly identified and arrested for the murder: Isaiah Chance, Alicia Andrews, Rashed Murphy, and Sean Gathright. The police revealed that the suspects were members of the notorious ATK and 1200 gangs.
The shooters are members of or affiliated with rival gangs of Jones that go by ATK and 1200.
Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the ATK and KTA beef, let me break it down for you. Just like the wars YBCDUL and his crew were wrapped up in, this situation is all about retaliatory violence, a deadly back and forth where every move just ramps up the conflict, dragging both sides deeper into a vicious cycle of bloodshed. ATK, which stands for Ace's Top Killers, or Aim to Kill, is a gang that rose from different groups spread across Jacksonville. Unlike traditional gangs tied to specific hoods, ATK is a mix of several crews from various parts of the city. One of the most notable faces of ATK is the rapper Young and Ace, who's at the forefront of the crew. On the flip side of this deadly feud is KTA, which stands for Kill Them All. KTA has roots in an older gang known as Problem Child Entertainment, PCE. PCE was notorious in Jacksonville until a RICO case in November 2017 led to the arrest of 10 gang members. But even with that setback, the void was quickly filled by new blood, including Foolio. The beef between ATK and KTA really started heating up around 2017 with the murder of Zion Brown, who happens to be Foolio's cousin. The origins of this beef are murky, but it often comes down to personal vendettas. One of the key incidents involved Zion Brown. On May 27, 2017, Zion was at home with his younger siblings when an ATK member, DeAndre Thomas, also known as Trey Shorty, threw a brick through the window and opened fire. Zion was killed, and 2 young girls were injured. Just like with the YBC situation after Joshua Munson's death, everything spiraled into a series of retaliatory attacks, ultimately leading to Foolio's demise. But Foolio isn't the only rapper who's lost his life to gang violence. Another prime example is Young Dolph, a rapper who many believe was taken out because of the gang war raging in Memphis.
Rapper Young Dolphin has now been shot and killed in Memphis.
On November 17, 2021, what should have been just another routine day quickly spiraled into a nightmare. That morning, Dolph was spotted cruising through Memphis in his signature camouflage Corvette on his way to a local bakery. He made a stop at a gas station near the bakery to refuel, completely unaware that his presence had already been blasted across social media, setting him up for what was about to happen. As Dolph stepped into the bakery that afternoon, everything changed in an instant. His enemies had been tracking him, waiting for the right moment. They pulled up in a white two-door Mercedes-Benz, masked up and armed with a semi-automatic rifle and a handgun. With no hesitation, they sprayed the bakery with bullets, aiming straight for Dolph. Dolph was hit multiple times, suffering a devastating 22 gunshot wounds. His forehead, temple, face, back, arms, chest, abdomen, chin, neck, wrist, and shoulder all took hits. The attackers quickly fled the scene, leaving Dolph bleeding out in the bakery. Despite the best efforts of paramedics, his injuries were too severe. Dolph's murder is widely believed to be linked to the ongoing gang war in Memphis between Paper Route Empire, PRE, and Trella Mafia. This conflict has been marked by violent clashes and power struggles between the two groups. Originally, PRE and Trella Mafia had a friendly relationship, largely due to J Money, a key Trella member, working closely with young Dolph, the founder of PRE. But things took a dark turn after J Money's legal troubles and his murder in 2016, which sparked internal strife within the Trella Mafia. This led to the rise of a rival faction, Rich and Ruthless, RR, escalating the street conflicts to deadly levels. Young Dolph had carefully maintained his neutrality amid the gang tensions, but that all changed when he signed a member of the rival faction, RR, to his label. That move, combined with his ongoing feud with fellow Memphis, rapper Yo Gotti is believed to have played a significant role in his tragic murder in 2021. These incidents, from Foolio to Young Dolph and YBCDUL, reveal the brutal reality of the rap game, as folks keep dissecting the viral footage of YBCDUL's murder, trying to figure out if he was set up or not. One thing's for sure, murders like these make it clear that this game is far from over. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.